Hi guys. So at Bitscale, we usually talk with a lot of outbound teams, and recently we've come to notice like some of the best response rates that are coming in the current outbound flows are from LinkedIn. And it's a very difficult nut to crack, especially because you cannot scale it to crazy amounts because LinkedIn crackdowns quite often and quite easily on accounts that are just made for outreach, etc. So you need to find some middle ground, and some of the platforms that have worked best for our users and also for us internally include the likes of like Heyreach. So in this video, I just wanted to sort of give you an insight as to how you can set up your Heyreach campaigns and how you can leverage the integration between Bitscale and Heyreach to create some amazing LinkedIn outreach flows. So I do have a grid setup right here. It's a fairly basic grid. If you have gone through any of our custom outbound generation videos, you might have seen something very similar. We have the company's blurb available. We have the person's detail available right here. And we are finding a little bit more about the person using their LinkedIn profile scrape, and using a bit agent. We are kind of creating a value prop that we can reference in our outreach. Now, the main reason why I've generated this value prop here is to show you how you can actually utilize this personalization on your Heyreach's end, because it works a little different. Heyreach, once you have actually set up the workflow, it does not allow you to like edit much, and sometimes that entire thing gets a little daunting because you're not sure how to proceed from there. So I'll also be showing you how you can like set the Heyreach's end of things. So basic workflow here: company blurb, person's details, LinkedIn scrape, using bit agent to create a small use case that we could reach out on based on the company's blurb that we had mentioned earlier. And then we are creating the value prop. So next stage with the integration itself would be to go to integrations here, go to add integrations, click on Heyreach add integration and put in your API key. Now the API key can be found here. If you go to the settings section right here in integrations, you'll get the Heyreach API and get the API key here. Once you get the API key, just paste it there and the integration would be done. It's nothing too crazy complicated. And once that is done, setting up your first campaign would look something like this. You just go to campaign, start new campaign. I'll just call this demo so that I can delete this later. Okay, select a list of leads you want to reach out to. Now, at this point, since you have just set up the flow on Bitscale, then you don't exactly have a list right now. It's a workflow that you've set up. You would want to first have the entire flow ready and maybe want to automate it. So in those scenarios, I would recommend creating an empty list here. I'll just call this demo. And if there are a bunch of people whom maybe as an institution you don't have good relations with, or you have like reached out to them quite a lot in the past few years, or past few months, or past few weeks, and you want to keep them warm, but you don't want to burn out those leads, you can include an exclude list here. You can maintain that on Heyreach's end. For now, it's not really relevant for us, so you can explore this if you want. Next, just click on continue, select the senders that you want to select. Usually, if you need help setting up the senders aspect of Heyreach, you can reach out to them. Those guys are like phenomenal. They can help you out. And just select a few senders. For now, I'll just select myself here. We go to continue. All right. Now, this is where the campaign is usually set up. There are a few templates here which work pretty well. You don't really need to overly complicate this, because the interpersonal messaging is what really brings in the conversions at LinkedIn Outbound. Obviously, higher number of cadences, specific messaging would always bring in more results. So keep that in mind. For now, I'll just select on this value first outreach, confirm. Pretty similar. If it's a connection, it would view the profile, then send a message. If no reply, send a message. And if again no reply, it will just end it. Or if you do get a reply, it will end it. Same is the case here, wherein the first step becomes sending the connection request. And then hence onwards, all of the steps are very similar to that branch right there. So this is where you will make changes to the messaging, and where it's very important that you include one thing, that is the personalization tag. So these are one of the common tags that you would have on, So like, for example, if you want to include first name here, you can click on this variable right here and you can do so. But this is kind of similar for all variables. So for example, if you want to import a variable from some other source, say Bitscale, you would want to first create a personalization variable. Okay. I'll just remove everything. Right. So this is a very simple messaging, and I've left a scope for me to later add some personalization from any external source that I'm using. Now, why this is important is because maybe later you realize, okay, you don't really need personalization. You can send a static message. Then you can simply remove this. But if you don't set it up at this step, you might face some issues in the future. So we'll just, oh, so sorry. All right. So in case you have any kind of variables in your flow, this is something that Heyreach does, which I absolutely love, is that they will like force you to put in a fallback message. So just in case any of your leads does not have that variable filled, or it's empty, or it's errored or something, it would simply go back to the fallback message so that the outreach itself is not affected. So I'll just save this and I'll just continue here. All right. I'll just launch the campaign. Perfect. It's empty right now. And I'll just close this, confirm. And if you remember, we had set up the variable as personalization. So that is what we need to keep in mind when we are pushing these data points. Yeah. So we'll come back to our grid here. And when we are setting up a push to Heyreach, since we have already set up the integration via the API key, just select the campaign, which comes out to be demo, first name, last name, personal LinkedIn URL. These are the only required parameters. Rest you don't really need. And I'll just create a custom field called personalization. So now this will map to the variable that we had created in our messaging. So I'll just include the value prop here. Perfect. Now this lead has been added to Heyreach and you're good to go. It will auto map that personalization to the messaging there, and you can just simply switch on your campaign and it should work as intended. So let us know if you have any questions. This was sort of like a quick walkthrough of how the architectural part of it works, like setting up the integrations and the campaign, the actual outbound ideas, etc. We will probably have a playbook available surrounding that, so you can reference that to get ideas. But if you have any questions, do reach out to us. Our support channel is active and we would love to revert. Bye. Cheers.